Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. I've done it. At least I hope, because I had to import this thing from Canada. And importing anything always has its own struggles. And this time it was UPS giving me problems. But long story short, it's here. And this is one of the hardest Guitar of the Week guitars to find. Number 41. So let's go ahead and talk about this thing. Is it a rare Les Paul custom? Is it something ultra fancy high-end? No, it's actually something relatively plain. This is the Nashville Les Paul Jr. So, I mean, you're probably confused. Why is this so rare and hard to find? It's just a double cut. We got a satin finish. Sure, it's white and absolutely beautiful, but what makes this so special? And my honest answer to that is, well, basically, you get the cool pickguard and you get an ebony fretboard, which wasn't necessarily all that common in this era that this was made. You could find other cheap, lower-end guitars that had ebony fretboards, but speaking in today's standpoint, yeah, that's a feature you don't normally find. So, Guitar of the Week series, if you don't know, they were all produced in the year 2007. There were 48 Guitars of the Week, however, there were only 47 of them created. Because I believe it was week 45 ended up being the Joan, Jett Melody Maker, so they decided to scrap that one. But if you want to watch a video that shows you every single one ever made, check this out. I finally made that thing. So what Gibson was trying to go for on this one is they were trying to blend country with rock and roll. So this whole floral design that you've got going on here is borrowed from the SJ200. It's just kind of like a slight variation on what those things have. So that's your country. Then you've got your whole punk rock and roll type vibes just being a double cut DC Junior. And the striking white finish just kind of plays with both of them. So even though there's like fancier Les Paul customs within this run, these things are so expensive because they're so hard to find in clean shape yet today, you know, due to things like the satin finish being easy to wear off. It gets nicks and dings. I mean, this one's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. You can see right here how the floral design easily gets picked off. I mean, this one's not mint in that aspect, but you can still see the general gist of things here, as well as some wear. And these used to be really cheap. On the used market, you could get them for like 900 bucks. Good luck ever finding that again. Another example of a double cut junior very similar to this one that has astronomical value on the collector's market is the Billy Joe Armstrong. It's one of the rarest of his signature guitars, and again, it's hard to find one in clean shape that hasn't been broken, repaired, or isn't heavily beaten up. It looks like we do have a little bit of case candy with this one. I don't think I've ever seen that hang tag before. It's like all the super fancy stuff going on there. This is kind of a cool warning page saying, hey, if your white guitar doesn't stay white, it's not our fault. And just our regular pre-packed checklist owner's manual and stuff like that. So, to learn a little bit more about this one, let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take an individual look at its parts and specs. Inside the Nashville Les Paul Jr., I was really shocked how well put together this guitar is. A lot of times these juniors, they have like a little bit of a gap, or you can really see where the neck joins to the body, but that's one of the cleanest joins I've ever seen from a Gibson, so that's pretty impressive. Now, if you're looking really close, you can definitely see the different color differences with the body and the glue that they used here, but if you look right here, you can actually see the maple block that caps off the truss rod inside the neck. But that's what this one looks like as a pickguard off model. Definitely want to leave that on, I would say. But let's take a second to appreciate this. It's a 5-ply pickguard, just like a Les Paul Custom, so alternating layers of black and white. And then this is like a silk screen. You can definitely feel that if you were to scratch that, it would come off. As you can see, it's kind of started to do right there. And this particular guard has quite a few scratches. But inside our pickup cavity, it reads WS for white satin, would be my guess, and then LPND, likely standing for Les Paul, Nashville, double cut, something like that. But the routes are extra clean on this one. That's nice to see. As far as the pickup, it's just your basic dog ear P90. Nothing too fancy here. Just in case you're not familiar, dog ear means it looks like this. It's got the bigger cover on it. It's got the metal feet at the end. It secures directly to the body. Whereas a soap bar style, it has a different cover, and then it utilizes 2 screws and a spring to set your height adjustment. The P90 reads 7.89k ohms in our circuit, and it's just a simple master volume, master tone, because you only got one pickup. Now, stock from the factory, this actually came with these bonnet style knobs. However, they're pretty prone to cracking and breaking, so a lot of times you'll see these things get replaced, but at least I have the originals. So now let's take a second to appreciate the bridge, which in this case is a compensated bridge with the lightning bar wrap tail. So you can get a little bit better intonation with these guys versus the historic correct version. And to set the intonation, you can rock it back and forth using these 2 screws. Taking the pickguard off makes it really obvious that this is a 3-piece body, because getting up close here, you can kind of see there's a difference between the wood grain right here and then right there. It's a little bit more dense in this area. But then with the pickguard off, it's like, oh yeah, that's very visibly different, so you know it's at least 3 pieces here. But that's a little bit less obvious when you have the pickguard on. But this is just a thin satin finish. It's kind of like the semi-gloss satin, but it's definitely very thin, very similar to what you'd find on like the faded series guitars of a similar era. So moving on from our mahogany body, we have a mahogany neck with, once again, an ebony fretboard. And as far as the fret wire, it's just your standard medium jumbo style. And you've got 22 frets. And as far as the inlays go, it's just your regular acrylic dots. I think that's a real missed opportunity. Maybe instead of the pickguard or on top of the pickguard, they could have did like a vine inlay up and down here. I know there's like really high-end custom shops, and that's asking a lot from Gibson USA as part of a whole 47 guitar run of things to do. But it would have been cool to have at least something like fancy on the 12th fret to make this even cooler. As far as condition of this one, there's like a little bit of fret wear on the 2nd fret right there, but I polished these up so they're looking pretty good now. With the 24 3/4 inch scale length, with the nut width of 1.69 inches, that increases to 2.07 by the 12th. 1st fret neck depth of 0.85, then by the 12th beefs up to 0.96. I would definitely still call this more of a 60 style neck. Starts off nice and thin, C-shaped, and then just gets a little bit chunkier, but by no means a big neck. Here's the neck at the 1st fret and the 12th fret. It's a pretty wide feeling, but a standard C shape. The face of the headstock is also a satin finish. You have a Gibson silkscreen as well as the Les Paul model silkscreen. Condition-wise, you've got a couple of dings on the top. But here's what the truss rod looks like on this one. And they came stock with a black plastic truss rod cover that doesn't read anything. Moving on to the backside here, the inside control cavity had an interesting surprise. I've never seen a capacitor like that in a Gibson. I'm not sure if that was a special feature of this particular run or if it's a replacement part. The solder joints are looking original to me, but unfortunately I could not find any other photos of the interior of one of these. The backplate still has its plastic covering over it. As far as any blemishes on the back, there's a few small dings right there, and that's about all that breaks the finish. Now there's a few light impressions if you're really looking, like right in that area. That looks more of like a factory paint flaw to me right there. So this one was definitely well taken care of. So moving on to the back of the neck, this also would have started the same as this. So you can hear this versus this. This has been played in a little bit. I mean, it's not fully gloss, but it's more of a semi-gloss now. Like when you feel right here on the heel, you can hear the difference between how much it's been played. I'm sure the black light will tell us a little bit too. There's like a small ding right here. A couple of impressions right there. But now we can see our regular Grover tuners, and then you might be confused by the serial number. Hey, I thought Guitar of the Week was 2007. This one was number 41 of 48. It must have taken them some time to make the 400 of each of these, because this one was produced on the 45th day of the year in 2008. 662nd production number for that day. Made in USA. And uh-oh, looks like there's a larger blemish up here at the top, and a couple of other small dings. Black light test on this one's a little bit boring because satin finishes don't quite glow as much as full-on glosses. But our headstock's looking good, the body was looking good. This has a perfect even glow all around, including on the back of the neck here. So we're looking good. The black light tests help you show small little blemishes, like the ones that we saw right there. All said and done, it's a back-saving 6 pounds, 12.2 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how it sounds. Now that we know all about the Guitar of the Week double cut Nashville Les Paul Jr., what are my final thoughts on this thing? It's a very interesting guitar. Am I gonna lie to you and say it was something absolutely fantastic and special out of the ordinary than you normally expect out of something like this? Nah, it's just kind of a cool collector's piece in my opinion. You can't find too many double cuts in a nice satin finish either. I mean, there are some options, don't get me wrong, but as far as readily available, you're probably gonna wanna go for the Les Paul Tribute as they call them. They're kind of similar to this, but not exactly the same. They're a lot cheaper. You don't have to be worried about beating those things up as much as one of these, but hey, the whole ebony fretboard situation is really cool on this one. So, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed finally getting to check one of these things out. I know I've been hunting for one of these for a long time. All right, take care, and we'll see you tomorrow on the next episode.